Well, over the years of Challenge, we've tackled everything from building bridges to railway lines, playgrounds to football pitches. But the most memorable trip for all of us was when we were challenged to renovate an orphanage in Romania that housed 600 children in the most appalling squalor imaginable.
I watched the programme Challenge Annika with Annika Rice, and it affected me so much when I saw these poor children that at the end of it, I called Jenny and we both were in tears and we both said, right, let's just go. So that's what we did. We just decided to go. I went to Romania with my cousin's wife, Jenny, and her sister, Madeline. The main things that we did while we were there were just basically looking after the children, feeding, changing, playing with them. But we also did some practical things, like on one of the trips they had a greenhouse in the ground that they wanted to get up and run in to grow fresh food for the children. We met some people that were working in an adult asylum in the next village from where we were, and they invited us to work for the day there. And yeah, that was hell. That was awful. I mean, you just couldn't describe the smell. And just these poor people, some of them just shouldn't have been there. We met widows that were only there because they had no family. There was a young guy that had been in a car accident, political prisoners. It was like a prison. We'd managed to get hold of some cherries, weirdly enough, from one of the little stalls in the town, in the village, and we decided to throw the children a little party. So they'd never seen cherries before. It was crazy. It was just the strangest thing, seeing these children being so excited over things that our children take for granted. And then we took them outside. Some of these poor kids had never been outside in the daylight, so they were holding on to us. But once we got them outside, and we did them a little picnic on the grass with these cherries, and yeah, that day will stick with me forever. One of my least favourite memories, obviously, there was a lot of traumatic things, was first walking into the orphanage and seeing something scurrying under the cots. You can't imagine the smell and the dirt, and it was dark in there. And it ended up being a child who basically lived under the cots, didn't communicate. That's when we realised that this wasn't going to be any picnic. This was real life, and it was going to be really traumatic. All the children that I met stick in my memory. There are obviously a few that just touched my heart, and one of those was a little girl called Nina. And she just smiled. She was living in hell, but she smiled, and you could just see the love in her. And I would have brought her home with me. If I could, I would have brought her home with me 100%. It was worth going 100%. It was life-changing. It was worth going to help people, but also on a selfish point, it helped me, and it made me realise that material things aren't important. And yeah, I would recommend anybody to do anything like that if possible.